What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another UFC predictions video. We got UFC 288 this weekend. Looking forward to this one. This will be obviously good main two fights. I'm really looking forward to it. But let's get into the predictions as always. Starting with the 5 fights on the main card. So first fight we'll be doing is Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. The first time I've seen Kron Gracie for a while, actually. I don't know how long he's been out for exactly, but up against Charles Jourdain. Obviously we know how good Kron Gracie is on the ground, and then Charles Jourdain does mix it up really, really well. So this will be a very intriguing fight to start the card off. I think it'd be a pretty fun fight, actually. The underdog, Kron Gracie, $2.50. Charles Jourdain is $1.54. I think I'm going to back Kron Gracie in. Maybe because it's just because I've watched him more. And I know he's the underdog here, but I just feel like that the wrestling could come into play in this fight. I think that Kron Gracie may be able to get it done, potentially with a decision, but he could get a submission. But I think it could be a decision win to Kron Gracie. So I'm going to back him in for the first fight there. Next fight is Jessica Andrade and Xiaonan Yan. I hope I've said that correctly or if I butchered it. But Andrade $1.51 and Yan is $2.56. So Yan's a pretty heavy favourite here. So again, we've seen Andrade has pretty much beaten everyone except for really the champions. Like, she obviously has lost to Valentina, she lost to Wei Li, and she lost to Rose in the second fight, but obviously beat her in the first fight. So she's lost to the best of the best. So she's one of those sort of top sort of 5 in whatever weight division she competes at. She's competed in pretty much all of them. So, and then Xiaonan Yan, this is a big opportunity for her. She can beat Andrade here, then she could really put herself in potential title picture in the division. But I think I'm going to back Andrade in. I just think that she will be too powerful in the end. I think her power will come into play here a lot. So yeah, I would back her in. She could even use her wrestling here as well, because we know how strong she is. But I will back Andrade in this one as the favourite. So I've gone one underdog, one favourite so far. So moving into the third fight on the main card, which I'm disappointed because it was Jonathan Pearce and Bryce Mitchell, I think it was. Jonathan Pearce was out injured or something like that. Then it actually became a better fight because it became Bryce Mitchell versus Movsar Evloev. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a really, really good fight. But then Bryce Mitchell's now out for an undisclosed injury. So it's now changed again. So now it's Diego Lopez coming in. And I don't know much about Diego Lopez, so I can't really comment too much on him. But the odds here, $1.10 for Evloev, $7 for Diego Lopez. So it's pretty one-sided. Evloev is also 16-0. He's looked really good. So I think he's one of the real up-and-coming guys in that featherweight division. And fighting Bryce Mitchell would have given him a platform if he was to go and win that fight. That would have potentially given him a top 10 opponent. But I still think he'll get the job done here anyway, even with a short notice opponent. I just think Evloev is really, really good. So I think he'll get the job done against Diego Lopez in that third fight on the card there. And then the two main fights. These are the ones I'm really looking forward to. So the first one, Gilbert Burns and Belal Muhammad. So I think it's pretty much been said that the winner of this fight will be getting the next title shot after Colby Covington against Leon Edwards. So this is a big fight for both these guys. So Belal's obviously looked great in his last few fights. He's been on a good run, and Gilbert's been on a great run as well. Really, the only two guys he's lost to was Kamaru Usman, and he rocked him early in that fight, in that championship fight, and then Hamzat, and that was a 3-round war, and it was a very, very close fight. It was sort of, I think Hamzat just got that one, but Gilbert was definitely there, and could, if a few maybe little 50-50 things in the fight went Gilbert's way, then maybe he gets the win there. So it's really tough. Belal's obviously a great wrestler, but so is Gilbert as well. Like, Gilbert with his jiu-jitsu is fantastic. So it's going to be interesting. The way I look at it is I find that there's more ways for Gilbert to win in this fight than Belal. So I'm going to back Gilbert, who's $1.78, and Belal's $2.08. So it is quite close in terms of odds. So the odds makers know this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be close. Obviously, no one contender. It's two of the best in the world at welterweight fighting it out. So I'm going to lean to Gilbert. I just think he's got more power. His wrestling's still good. And I think maybe Belal's wrestling is better. Obviously, Gilbert and his jiu-jitsu is obviously amazing. But Gilbert's right up there. I don't think it's really much of a difference. I think it's 50-50. And I don't see Belal having the power to knock out Gilbert. Belal's very much a activity. He's a bit like Colby. Just it's more like putting on the pressure, and then that allows him to get his takedowns and get you to the ground. But I just don't know if Belal will have the power for Gilbert, whereas Gilbert will have the power for Belal. So I'll back Gilbert in for that one. Moving to the main main event, sorry. Aljamain Sterling, the Bantamweight Champion, up against Henry Cejudo, Triple C, coming back after 3 years off. Never lost his Bantamweight belt, never lost his Flyweight belt, and obviously Olympic gold medalist. So this is really, really intriguing. So we know Aljo. He's obviously an amazing grappler. He's finished some of the best in the world the last few fights. Obviously beat Paddy Yan. He's beaten TJ Dillashaw. He's looked really, really good in his last few fights, and his striking's even gotten better on the feet as well. It's sort of, I remember that first fight against Yan where he was just throwing these strikes, sort of just trying to just keep up activity, but weren't really doing much damage to Yan, and that's obviously, we know how that fight obviously ended. But then adjusted from that and has looked good really ever since. But he's looked good before that. He looked good before he fought Yan the first time. So he's been on a great run for a while now. He has, I think the only loss I can think of off the top of my head that the guy lost to was Marlon Moraes with sort of a freak knockout. So, but then Henry Cejudo, man, he's so good. Obviously we know how good he is. Obviously he's beaten pretty much he's beaten everyone that he's come into combat with. His wrestling, we know, Olympic gold medalist wrestler, so we know how good his wrestling is, and he obviously strides good. His fight IQ as well is the other thing that really impresses me with him. He can see the fight in different ways, like the way that he was able to get that finish with Dominic Cruz and land that knee. Just his fight IQ is off the chart. So it's really close. $1.97 for Aljamain Sterling, $1.87 for Henry Cejudo. So really, really close odds here, and it is tough to pick because how does Henry come back off the layoff? Is there ring rust? Because some fighters do suffer from ring rust, but some don't. Will Henry come back? Will he suffer from that? Will he come back and just sort of kick on like he was doing before? Or can Aljo defend his belt again and keep the belt and then put another big name in his cap and beat Henry? So in that case, we'd be talking about him as probably, we would be saying he'd be the best bantamweight ever. But I think Henry, this is almost probably the fight to determine who the best bantamweight ever is, because I know Henry's only fought a couple of times at bantamweight, but he has beaten sort of the champions there. So in terms of winner here, I put Henry Cejudo in the same bracket that I put your John Jones. It was Kamaru Usman before he lost, but these guys Khabib was in that thing. I back them in pretty much every fight until I see otherwise. Like they've beaten everyone and they've given me no reason for me not to go with them. So I'm going to go Henry Cejudo here, but Aljamain Sterling could get this done because Henry's obviously been away for 3 years. So it will be very, very interesting to see who gets this done. It'll be a 50-50 fight, I think. But then again, if Henry does something like John Jones did to Cyril Gane and finish the fight very quickly, then wow, that's going to be something. And then maybe could we be seeing him moving up to fight for Hulk? That could be something there. But I think it'll be Sean O'Malley next, I think. But yeah, very interested to see these fights. Let me know in the comments below who you guys think are going to win the fights at UFC 288. It's going to be an interesting fight card as well. So let me know your thoughts on that or any other questions or queries. Also, thank you very much for everyone. We hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Very much appreciated. Glad to hit that milestone. So now it's to the next 1,000. Now we'll hopefully reach 2,000. Hopefully in no time, but obviously we'll go 1,100, 1,200. We'll keep rising up, but appreciate everyone's support so far. The positivity's been fantastic. So appreciate you all. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit the bottom right hand corner and get involved. Obviously this week head towards 2,000 subscribers as well. Social media links in the description below. Make sure you go and follow all of them. Like the video if you enjoyed the content. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or upload any other content on the channel in the future. And I'll be back on after UFC 288 for the UFC 288 recap, recapping all of the action from the fight card this weekend. So I'll catch you guys then. Enjoy the fights. Cheers.